Hey everyone, my guest today is Dan Schaefer. Dan is a progressive political leader and candidate for the Missouri House of Representatives, District 97, running a grassroots campaign to defend public education, demand fair taxation, and restore transparency to state government. He speaks unapologetically for working people and consistently challenges efforts to undermine voter-driven initiatives and weaken democratic institutions. Blending practical wisdom with policy fluency, Dan cuts through political noise with clarity and conviction. He tackles issues ranging from union rights and economic justice to civil liberties and the growing threat of authoritarian overreach, always grounding big ideas on real-world impact. Dan is the founder of Frontline Progressive, a newsletter focused on democratic resilience and citizen action. He has hosted more than 200 interviews with leaders and changemakers nationwide, bringing sharp questions and substantive dialogue to every conversation. With an engineering background and a relentless commitment to honest government, Dan brings both strategy and substance to the mic. Welcome to the show, Dan. Thank you for coming back.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be here again, Sam. And I'm just thrilled about the fact that you called me back for another interview. It was a lot of fun last time. I'm looking forward to a pretty good conversation this time.
Yeah. So I've been doing this thing where I have been reaching out to people I've interviewed like earlier in 2025. And a lot of people I have weird random things that happened as I was just starting out with doing interviews, but I didn't have anything specific for you.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
One of them I was really sick during, which I do have a cough today. Like another one, my microphone was positioned like upside down and it sounded fine, but looked dumb to anyone who knows about the microphones. And another one, I forgot to hit the video button. So,
Oh, yeah. That stuff happens. It's I used to, when I was doing my podcast, I would have two recording devices, and it paid off because one time I forgot to hit one of the recording devices, so I had a backup for it, which was absolutely essential because I'd hate to call them back and do it again,
Yeah. That's, I should have done something like that. All right. So we talked a little bit about your campaign last time. Can you tell me how it's going? Anything new, anything interesting the audience might want to know?
Yeah, it's lots of stuff is new. Of course, on the national scene, there's all kinds of craziness going on with the Republicans, and I'm running as a Democrat, so that sort of works out to my favor. Although I'd rather not have the crazy stuff going on, and not have that advantage. But I knock on a lot of people's doors and talk to folks, and the first words out of their mouth is like, "Oh, the Republicans are just going crazy these days." I said, "Okay, that might be true on the national scene, but I'm running for a state level office, a state representative seat, and so let's talk about what's going on in Missouri." So surprising number of people are actually quite aware of what's going on in the state here too, which. The reason why I say it's surprising is because most people just don't pay attention to politics on that level. It doesn't get a lot of press, but it seems to be different now. So people are, I guess, waking up and paying more attention to what's going on. So that part is good, and just the campaign itself is going well. I came up with this expression. I say right here in this card, it says, "Missouri is rigged," and so. That generates a lot of attention because people are saying, "Oh, how is it rigged?" And a lot of people are getting angry because they say, "Well, because President Trump used the word rigged insofar as the elections are going." And I say, no, I don't have any problem with the way we're conducting elections in this state, but it is rigged in other ways, and so that gets a lot of people's attention for some reason, and so I'm going to stick with that phrase for the time being.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I remember your yellow cards from last time. So the wording's a little bit different this time.
It's a little bit different. Yeah, I put a little different cartoon up here, and I have an advisory committee that I ran this by, and I used to call out Republicans, but something, I don't put Republicans on this anymore. I just say,
Right.
Just in general, this is what's happening. And I think it was really good advice because the thing is, you don't want to get into this red team versus blue team thing. We have issues in Missouri, as I do up in your neck of the woods up in Iowa as well. And these issues really cut across party lines. And what I find interesting is that my opponent, well, I actually have two opponents. I have the incumbent, who is in the seat right now, and he has a primary opponent. I've been getting pretty close to the primary opponent, and we talk about the ways in which Missouri is rigged, and he's like pretty much agrees, with a lot of
Yeah.
my points, and so that's encouraging to see that. He's still pretty extreme from the MAGA perspective, but I have a good rapport with him, so I feel like if he wins, I'll still have a really good relationship with him, and I think that we can still get things done in Missouri.
Yeah, and I kind of remember us talking about that from last time, that
Hmm.
you do have a relationship with people who are on the different side of the political aisle from you. And I think that's so important, that even if they're not under the same, title or blanket as we are, they're
Right.
still a good candidate.
Yeah, yeah. You try to reach them on a personal level, and but since then, I've also heard a lot of negative things about the incumbent also too,
Okay.
which kind of disturbed me in a way, and I don't want to repeat that, but um, the negative comments are coming from other Republicans too, which is
Okay.
kind of interesting. So yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of good things obviously as well, but that kind of surprised me too. That once you get a lot of trust with people on the other side,
Hmm.
they will open up and tell you things that are not necessarily damaging to their own party or to their own brand, but they're things that are certainly um, the benefits you to be aware of as you
Right.
go forward. So, like I say, I don't want to repeat any of those things
Right.
because again, I don't want to get in like a red team versus blue team sort of thing. But I am kind of impressed with the honesty that I'm seeing among people on both sides of the aisle here.
Good. Good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Now, is there a redistricting battle going on in Missouri?
Yes, there is,
Okay.
and that's one of the things that happened since the last time we talked. I think we touched on it last
Hmm.
time.
Yep.
But what they did now was they circulated a petition. Missouri has something called a referendum. And what
Okay.
that means is anytime the legislature passes a law, Missourians can get together and create a petition. If they get enough people to sign it, we can basically back that law out uh, as
Okay.
soon as that, and not necessarily, well, we can back it out temporarily and then it goes up for a vote. So then the people get to vote on it and then it becomes law. So in that case there, we actually circulated a petition that was that was against this redistricting. And the petition got enough signatures. The signatures have been validated through all the different counties that they basically validate them on a county by county basis here. And then it was submitted to the Secretary of State. And the Secretary of State is just saying, well, so what? He's just basically sitting on it, right?
Oh.
So meanwhile, the laws that do the redistricting, he argues, is going to move forward. So this thing went all the way up to the Missouri Supreme Court, and the Missouri Supreme Court said, "Hey, we can't call it one way or another because you haven't validated those signatures yet. So we really can't say which redistricting is in place. Is it the old map or is it the new map?" And and that was, I think a lot of the Secretary of State, who was Republican, he took that as a win. He said, "Great, because I can just sit on this thing forever." Well, he does have a deadline. The deadline is August 4th, which
Okay.
is the same day as our primary. So, so there's a big battle going on right now because there's a lot of people in the county level that are pushing back and saying, "Well, we're not gonna redistrict anything. We're not gonna." I forgot what the term is they have to do, but they basically have to uh, create ballots to go out to different people, and the ballots will be different depending upon what district they're in. They're
Okay.
not going to use the new maps yet because they say, "Hey, we don't know what's going to happen here. We don't know if these signatures are valid or not." And so
Right.
now the lawsuits are starting to fly around, and it's a mess. It's an absolute
Yeah.
mess. So,
You yeah, I haven't come across too much about Missouri's redistricting mess compared to
mhm.
other states. So that's interesting to learn a little bit more about. It seems like some of the other states are getting a little bit more attention for
Yeah, they are.
whatever
Well,
reason.
yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, was it Louisiana that just they had already started their primary process and people already started voting, and they said, "Hold on, we're going to redistrict."
Yeah.
I mean, come on, that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yep. And then of course Virginia is getting attention for theirs going through and then getting struck down and yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Virginia was kind of doomed from the beginning, from what I understand. I mean, I've never read Virginia law, but I've been listening to a lot of commentaries about it.
Uh-huh.
And who is that guy that used to do um, Meet the Press? Chuck Todd. I
Okay.
listened to, so he said something very interesting. He has his own podcast now. And he's
Uh-huh.
been saying from the very beginning, he says, this thing will never fly. He says, what they've done in Virginia was illegal. They went around some of the legal processes in order to implement this redistricting. And he says, just you wait, and you're going to see this. The Supreme Court's going to strike it down. And so after the Supreme Court did indeed strike it down, he wasn't, trying to brag, like saying, I told you
Right.
so. But,
Yeah.
it's, he said that's to be expected. It was, they shortchanged the legal process there. So um, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, I thought maybe things would slow down after the first, I don't know, a few months of this term, and it's just not.
It's getting crazy.
It
Getting
is.
crazier and crazier, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we
Yes.
start this war with Iran, and like, oh gosh, now it's just crazy.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know I haven't checked the latest update on that. It just nothing's ever as simple as it's made to sound.
Yeah.
Russia and Ukraine are still fighting.
Hmm.
Iran's not settled. It's
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I want politics to be boring again, because I could say I'm a boring person. I could handle
yeah.
that. I want it to be
Yeah.
boring. I mean, I still want people to be involved, obviously, but I just don't think that we need to have this level of chaos
Yeah.
that that's just wearing everybody out.
Yes, and I agree because it seems like there's so much stuff happening where you almost get like you said, overwhelmed, but almost like jaded by what's happening, where it's
Hmm.
just you tune out of everything. Whereas, some of these events, if they had happened when there wasn't a million other things going on, maybe would have had a lot more attention, maybe could have been addressed a little bit better.
Right.
But with the constant action, it's just kind of like I could see where people are just like, I'm done with politics. I'm not paying any more attention. I can't handle it.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. But in some ways, that's what they want. That's what the
Yeah.
authoritarians want. They want us to disconnect. And I think that's a big mistake, and it is really hard sometimes to get people motivated because they're just like, all you politicians are the same, and I'm saying, no, really, with this time we need to vote. And every election since 2016 has been the most important election. And
Right.
people get tired of hearing that, but on the other hand, it's like we've got an out of control president who's just thumbing his nose at the Constitution and disobeying Congress, and it calls into question whether we should even have a constitution at all, because it just seems to be whatever Trump wants it to be.
Yeah. How is Missouri? I guess you had mentioned it's much calmer in Missouri than like some of the other states. What do you think Missouri's doing well, and what would you like to continue?
Oh, it's a good question, because there's yeah, I guess I wouldn't say it's really that calm in Missouri. There's still there are a lot of tricks and stuff going on in Missouri here.
Okay.
They want one of the things they want to do is replace individual income tax with just moving to complete sales tax for everything.
Oh.
And so they want to expand what they call expand the base of sales tax. So they want to tax services. So if you go to see your doctor or get a haircut or get your car fixed or something like that, these are all services which were not being charged previously. Now they're going to start charging for them, even for things like Netflix subscriptions. So so that's kind of a harebrained idea, and that's actually going to be on the August ballot. People are going to be able to vote
Okay.
on it, and so the way they word it on the ballot is like, do you want to get rid of income tax? Well, who's not going to agree with that, right? I'd
Right.
love to get rid of income tax, but the reality is that what they don't tell you is that it's really going to change things when it comes to sales tax, and it's going to hit a lot of people different ways. It's going to be really good for the rich people. It's not going to be so good for people who are living paycheck to paycheck. Some things Missouri does right, though. I mean, I personally experienced this a few years ago. I was laid off from my job, and it was really weird. It was like the best job I ever had. It was like my whole career. I finally found one job that I really enjoyed,
Uh-huh.
and I mean, I couldn't find one person in that company that I didn't like.
Yeah.
And anyways, I got laid off, and I told the state of Missouri about it. So get unemployment and things like that. And Missouri had a really good procedure in place for taking care of people like that. They sign you up with I forget which online education system it was, but it's actually quite expensive. But they had thousands of courses you could take for retraining, and so I took several of these courses,
Uh-huh.
and it was and then they have like a whole team in Missouri that helps you locate jobs that you want, jobs that fit your resume.
Mhm.
And I ended up not finding a job. I was 63 at the time, so I thought, oh, screw it, I'm just going to retire, and just try to float as much as I can until I can pick up my Social Security or whatever,
Yeah.
um, and 401k. So I ended up okay, but I was impressed, for people that are that are younger, especially these days with AI taking over everybody's job. We're all going to need to be retrained at it. So I thought the state of Missouri did an outstanding job in that area, and I'd like to see them continue doing that.
Yeah. Nice. You yeah, back to that income tax thing,
Hmm.
and you pointed out that it's gonna help the rich and not anybody else, and yeah, the wording is tricky. So, services, like the things that you had mentioned, those are already things that maybe someone who's struggling, with finances, like, they're not going to go to the salon to get their
Right.
nails done, to a lot of those services that
Right.
they're not doing anyways. So, um, and if they do, it's kind of a special thing,
Hmm.
you
So
know?
luxury. Yeah.
A luxury. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
luxury thing. And so, yeah, I think it's gonna put a bigger space in between the haves and the have-nots. Like, suddenly, they're
Yeah.
not gonna be able to afford to get their car serviced,
Right.
or and that's not a luxury thing,
Right.
but
Right.
yeah,
Well,
it's
they
just interesting to think about.
yeah, they haven't. To their credit, the legislators that pushed this through said, "Well, we're not going to define what we're going to tax at this point, so we don't know if they're going to tax your cuts or getting your nails done or something like that." Um, it just depends upon how this plays out. They want the people to pass this law first so they can start experimenting with different types of taxes. And to me, it's like, I mean, it's really weird. We're basically voting on a concept. We're not really voting on. We really don't know how it's going to play out here.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and you're right. There are a lot of things you don't have a choice about. You don't have a choice about paying rent. You don't have a
yeah,
choice about your car breaks down. You got to get your car fixed. And one of the reasons that these legislators came up with for one of the benefits they said is that you get to choose how you spend your money and how you pay tax. And I'm like, how can you choose whether or not to buy food? How can you choose whether or not you need certain services? You need to go see the doctor. You need to you need to get your car repaired, things like that. So to me, it opens up the door to corruption. A
Yeah.
lot of these guys in the legislature, they have their own businesses on the side. The incumbent in my case has his own business, several businesses actually, and I can't help thinking that they're just going to write exceptions for their businesses, like, oh, by the way, if you're in construction and you're paying for a house or something like that, you don't have to pay for drywalling or something like that. You don't have to pay tax on guttering or something like that. I can just see that kind of stuff happening. It just opens up the door to corruption.
Yeah.
So this is, yeah, I think it's completely unrealistic. They look at other states like Tennessee and they say, oh, Tennessee doesn't have any income tax. They pay everything through sales tax. Well, yeah, their sales tax is through the roof too. So,
Mhm.
it's one of those things where, if they came to the table with some realistic ideas about what's going to get taxed and how much it's going to get taxed and how much revenue it's going to raise, I'd be more inclined to give it serious consideration. But right now, no, I'm just dismissing it out of hand.
Right. Right. Yeah, the vagueness. The
Yeah.
vagueness gives them permission to do too many things. Like,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
would we give them permission to just experiment with our
Yeah.
income?
And you're saying,
I mean,
trust us. Yeah, right.
yeah.
I'm not going to
And
trust you guys.
right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, okay, so fine. Just don't go to the salon appointments if you can't afford them. But if it's taxing doctor's visits, people can't afford healthcare already,
Yeah.
oftentimes.
Exactly.
Which, yeah, I remember we had talked about healthcare.
Oh, yeah. Talked
last
about it
time,
extensively before, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to tell you about my sponsors real quick. Sometimes I get on a roll cleaning or gardening, and I need a boost but don't have time for a meal. Big Fork Brand's pork jerky is the perfect choice to keep my momentum, offering high-protein snacks for on-the-go energy boosts. Not only do they offer pork jerky, but they also make pork sticks, bacon sausage, bacon hot dogs, and burger and hot dog sauces. Products come in a variety of delicious flavors, including Thai green curry and maple and brown sugar for the meat options, and gangster and Chicago fire for the sauces. I personally think the original flavor of the pork jerky hits just right after tackling a big chore. It's a little salty and very flavorful. My discount code gives you 20% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit bigforkbrands.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Are you looking for a gift for a music lover, or maybe some apparel to show off your quirky side? Old Glory has you covered. With over 300,000 officially licensed items covering music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture, you're guaranteed to find the perfect item. They even have seasonal gear. My husband enjoys the Beatles and Led Zeppelin apparel, and I love the Billy Idol apparel. I even found items for my fellow plant enthusiasts. This family-owned superstore is known for their quality and customer service, offers free standard shipping on all orders, and orders are shipped the same day you purchase. My discount code gives you 15% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit oldglory.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Looking for a game-changing way to improve your health? Zevo Life is the world's most nutrient-dense whole plant, packed with over 50% plant protein, essential amino acids, fiber, and antioxidants. Harnessing the best nature has to offer, Zevo Life nourishes your body while driving your performance, vitality, and overall well-being. Each serving is a concentrated source of clean, well-balanced nutrition designed to support modern lifestyles, and just 1 teaspoon a day supports your gut, boosts energy, and promotes healthier skin and hair. It's no wonder that it's receiving rave 5-star reviews. Step into a healthier future with a 30% discount and a 30-day risk-free guarantee by visiting zivo.life and using my promo code. To support my show and to receive 30% off your entire order, enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. All right, I saw an interesting question suggestion that you had recently put out. What 200 interviews taught me about American political culture. So what have you learned through all of the interviews you've done now?
Well, let me see. We're limited to 45 minutes, right? So, well, I think my learning path has been very similar to what yours is. You're doing something similar now to what I was doing before, and every time I talk to somebody, I would learn something.
Mhm.
It depends upon who you talk to. I mean, I was able to talk to Ralph Nader one time, and he talked a lot about running for president back in 2020, as well as no 2000 and 2004. I think is when he ran for president, and he had a ton of stuff to talk about in terms of how both the Democrats and Republicans fight against third parties and spread these rumors of like so-called spoiler alerts and don't vote for a third party because you're going to spoil things for the other two parties. And the way
Mhm.
he puts it, he said um, that assumes that a party is entitled to votes. That says Democrats own your vote or the Republicans own your
Yeah.
vote. They don't own your vote. You can vote any way you want. And and if you go through the trouble to go through a voting poll to vote, cast a vote, that's already saying a lot about your feeling of citizenship and your responsibility and your duty to your country.
Yeah.
And so if you vote for a third party, hey, maybe that's a statement that needs to be people need to pay attention to. So, anyways, that was talking with Ralph Nader there, but I also talked to a lot of people that uh, book authors and activists. One activist, in fact, the very first podcast I heard with that I did with my more recent podcast, which was called Democracy on the Move. I talked to a guy. He was a state senator up in New Hampshire, Christopher something or another, but he was head of an organization. Oh gosh, what was the name of that organization? But what they were trying to do is get around the electoral college system. Um,
Okay.
what was the name of that? But anyways, what they were trying to do is have all the states sign a pact, an agreement that said whoever wins the popular vote will then get all the states' electoral votes. So that
Okay.
way, it would national popular vote, I think it was NPV, and we went into detail about that, and that was something that was I thought it was kind of cool at first, but then later on I started thinking like, maybe that's not such a good thing because that means that a state would be casting its electoral votes different than what the people of that state wanted, and
Right.
that presents other problems too. So, but yeah, so there's people trying to get around, the electoral college system. Um, Let me see. There's other organizations I talked to which are trying to get rid of Citizens United, which was
Uh-huh.
passed in 2011, something like that, which basically gave corporations First Amendment rights of speech and said, because of your right to speech, you have the right to put as much money as you want into political campaigns. And so
Right.
there's a lot of people working to unwind that. Some people are trying to unwind it through law. Others are trying to unwind it through new amendments. And
Okay.
these are all really Herculean tasks. Amendment is probably the most Herculean task you could take on, I think.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and just a slice of life. I got to be pretty good terms with a prisoner who was here in Missouri who was arrested when he was 16 years old for armed robbery.
Mhm.
He doesn't deny it. He admits it. Um, by the time they went to sentence him, he was 17 years old, and he had the typical attitude of a 17-year-old kid who didn't
Right.
trust anyone, and he had some choice words for the judge, and so the judge said, "Well, you have 10 felony counts against you. Instead of serving them concurrently, you're going to serve them serially," and which put him in prison for like 234 years or something like that,
Oh my gosh.
and with eligibility for parole after 100 years or 110 years or something. Well, he's out now um, because the Missouri legislature stepped in. So he was in prison since the time he was 16 till he was about 41, and he's out now.
Oh.
I believe technically he's on parole, but he's doing some great things. His name is Bobby Bostic. He's going around the country now giving speeches. He's running some charities, but his speeches have to do with breaking the what he calls the school to prison pipeline.
Okay.
And it's you meet people like that, and you think, wow, there's some really good people out there. This guy had a very bad start to life. There was no father figure, and that typical story of a urban youth, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and the problem persists today. And um, you know, unless somebody steps up and tries to do something about it, it's going to keep going. So I run into people like that I just I stand in awe of them. I think that they're really good people, and I don't know. It's just you get a really good feeling for America. When you
Yeah.
boil it right down to individual people, there's a lot of good people out there, and they're trying to do the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really it, m- podcasting's been great. It's easier to just do my own thing, do my own recording, but then I
Hmm.
miss out on learning so much from
Oh
other
yeah,
people
yeah,
and I mean just a lot of interesting stuff too.
yeah.
Uh
You don't want it to
so
become like your own soapbox or something like that, where you just, I mean, everybody wants a soapbox. Everybody's got something to say, but I think, yeah,
yeah,
I can see why you'd want to do that sometimes because you just got to get it off your chest. But on
right.
the other hand, um, you got to talk to people too to keep it real.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and to keep yourself connected.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Now, does that case kind of upset you, make you upset with the judge for that situation?
Yes, it does. Now the judge, I forgot what her name was, but she's since retired. She's devoted a lot of her time to try to erase that mistake
Okay.
that she made. She let her emotions get a hold of her. She admits it, and that is one of those things that there's another similar case going on here. A guy named Christopher Dunn. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's been
Maybe.
in prison for I think almost 40 years. He just reached out to me the other day through my website, and so
Uh-huh.
we have a conversation going. But he was falsely imprisoned for I think it was close to 40 years, and um, he was found guilty. It was the witnesses were coerced by the police, and evidence was flimsy at best. And then now they came up with DNA evidence and said, "Oh, this guy wasn't anywhere near the murder that took place that he was that he was accused of." So
Mhm.
you'd think, well, they just let him out of prison, right? Well, not so fast. We had an attorney general at that time, a guy by the name of Andrew Bailey, that was determined to keep him in prison. And the reason he gave was, we don't want people to lose faith in the justice system, right? And I'm like,
It's
what?
too late.
Yeah, I've already lost faith, because I remember seeing Christopher Dunn in the news. This happened a couple of years ago. I remember seeing him in the news, and I remember this whole thing unfolding. I'm like, well, I've already lost faith in the justice system. If you put someone in prison that now they have exculpatory evidence. So I asked, I got to get back in touch with him too. I just remembered his name now. I got to get back in touch with him because I was asking him. I said, what do you think is fair? Do you think we should have a retrial then in that situation
Mhm.
or what? Because right now he's out, but they're still trying to put him in prison. They still want him to go back, so he's still fighting for his freedom. And I think I get it. He went through trial and he was found guilty. Um, but I think a retrial is called for here. And I would say, why not just get a retrial? Maybe a judge just looks at this retrial and says, well, this exculpatory evidence is way too strong. The DA may even just drop the case altogether, and then it's done, right? Then he's out
Right.
free and clear. So, these are the types of things that when Christopher Dunn approached me with this story, and first of all, I was thrilled to hear from him because I already knew about him, and I didn't think I had gotten up that high on the radar to get on his radar.
Yeah.
But he reached out to me. But secondly, it's one of the reasons why I run for office because this is one of those things I think the legislature could step in and say, okay, let's create a way for people like this who are falsely accused to get a retrial. Maybe I don't know what we do. Come up with a panel of retired judges or something like that to look at each case and make a
Okay.
decision, or what the story would be. But we got to get these guys, men and women, I should say, you got to get them out of prison, um, free and clear, in a legal way. So uh, I haven't really dug into the details in that one yet, but that's one of those things that motivates me to continue moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really cool idea. My friend and I were just discussing, she comes on the show and does like a true crime segment.
Mhm.
And we were talking about how even if you're innocent, it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. But
Right.
the minute you're charged, um, you're treated like you're guilty. In a lot of these situations, someone may be innocent, but the battle to prove that they're innocent is so costly and requires so many resources that they might not have access to,
Right.
that they're just being treated like they're guilty all along. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
even if they're proven innocent, it's hard to get back out of that hole.
Yeah, it is. And recognize also there are a lot of prisoners who really are guilty,
Right.
and
Right,
they're
of
going to
course.
say they're innocent too, right? So how do you differentiate between them? But I think that there are organizations out there, nonprofit organizations that do these investigations, and I think that there should be a legal mechanism for them to reach into the justice system
Mhm.
and actually get some retrial or something like that. You don't want to nullify previous jury's findings, but you have to recognize the previous jury didn't have the right information or had false information. And
Right.
in those cases, yeah, you have to run the trial again to be fair.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. I had a Missouri related question and I forgot what that was.
Well, you're just to our south, or we are to your south. And
Yeah.
yeah, I have a lot of Iowa questions too. We talked about Iowa last time too, quite
Yeah,
a bit.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, so before we started recording, we were discussing, the problem of hitting deer on the highway, and you had
Yeah.
a really cool idea
Yeah.
on possibilities on how to maybe prevent that from continuing to happen.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I really very sorry that you hit that deer recently. I had that experience too last October. We had just bought a new car, nice car. I love that
Oh,
car, and we had it for 3 weeks. And a buck just jumped right out of nowhere, right in front of us. We're going about 65, 70 miles an hour. Um, I tried to twist the wheel a little bit, and my instinct said, keep the wheel straight because you're going to roll this thing. So we just slammed right into him and killed him. But, obviously I felt bad for the deer, but it took me a while to feel bad for that deer. But it
yeah,
totaled our car. It was a total loss. And so we had to get a new car, which wasn't quite as good. But it got me thinking, because you're another person that I've spoken to. I speak to a lot of people that have hit deer, and
mhm,
it is a big, big problem all over
right,
this country. And so I'm thinking to myself, it's got to be costing those insurance companies an awful lot of money. Because your experience, I think, is the same as mine. You tell the insurance company you hit a deer, and it's like, okay, no questions asked, we'll just pay it, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
they must be losing buckets of money over this thing. So I started thinking, was there a way that we can prevent people from hitting deer other than just putting up those deer crossing signs? And since I'm a nerd, I thought, well, why don't we come up with a good use for AI to have cameras, not to watch the people, because that's another whole thing with flock cameras and so on,
right, right,
but to watch the side of the road and look at maybe 100 or 200 yards off to the side of the road and look for incoming deer. And I think it's technically possible. I know the province of Alberta, Canada, has been working on this because they have it worse. Not only deer, but they have moose up there too, and
oh,
those
yeah,
things will. I mean, people get killed.
yeah,
People get killed with deer, but you hit a moose. I mean, it's lights out for you too. So
yeah,
I know they've done some research into it, and that's something I thought. Well, money's always tight, right? But this is something that I think everybody could be interested in. Why don't we research this a little bit? Why don't we find out, first of all, what other states and what other provinces are doing? See if it can leverage some of that expertise, and see if we can set up some sort of a system that detects, can differentiate between deer and cattle and people and
Mhm.
so on, and set off a warning on the side of the road, like flashing lights, or maybe set off a radio beacon that cars pick up that say, slow down, you got some deer in the area.
Yeah.
And I think that would save a lot of money for insurance companies. I would think insurance companies would love to invest in something like this. And the state itself, I think it would be worth the state maybe to throw in a little bit of money, not to pay for the whole thing, because it obviously would be pretty expensive, but to cooperate in the sense that maybe we could do an initial study, and then when it comes to deploying it, we could work with MoDOT, which is the Missouri Department of Transportation, to set up some trial areas where we can do this. And I mean, these are the types of things where, gee, the government can work for us. The government can do
Right.
some good things, save people's lives, save people's property, and save deer in the process as well.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I had heard about animal overpasses like
Yeah,
decades ago and I don't really see them around at all and because I think about those, those would be great where you're driving and you see the deer crossing sign, but that's going to eat up a lot of land.
yeah,
So like here in Iowa, that would eat up a lot of farmland.
yeah,
But yeah, I pass those deer crossing signs every night on my way home, but it's you see it every day. It's just
yeah,
like
yeah,
you kind of forget it's there, but if you had a light that went off on the sign that in any time a deer in the area was detected, people would pay a lot more attention.
yeah, yeah. They would slow way down. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the Animal Crossings, the only one I've seen was in Southern California, because I mean, I lived a lot of my life out there. My son is still out there. They built one not for the deer, but they built it for the mountain lions out there, because
Oh.
the mountain lions they sort of get boxed in by the freeways out there, and they start to inbreed. So they built some of these overpasses. Well, one that I know of is out in Calabasas, California,
Mhm.
and no, Calabasas. Yeah, I think in Calabasas, and so that's a good thing. The only problem is I don't know how you how you tell the mountain lions or the deer or whatever they go this way to cross the freeway.
Right.
So I don't know how they do that. I guess people smarter than me have got that figured out. But yeah, I would love that if we get a flashing light or something like that. Just okay, maybe you're going 60, and then maybe slow down to about you know 35 or so, to so that if you slam on your brakes, you can stop within 40 or 50 feet or something like that before you hit a deer.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be nice because in like we were already saying, like, you might not always see them if they're just running, you're not gonna see them until they're in front of your car already, and
Yeah, yeah. They run like crazy. And I've had people tell me they've had a deer. In fact, one guy I talked to, he had a deer literally run into his car. We were driving a pickup truck, and it actually broke through the window and hit him personally. He's like, he's driving along, all of a sudden he's got this carcass next to him. I mean, it broke its neck in the process and everything, so it was dead. But um,
yeah.
yeah, deer aren't very smart. They just,
Yeah.
I mean, they're not smart. You ever watch crows, or they can see cars coming, they get off the road and they know what to
Right,
do. But
right.
deer just aren't that smart.
Yeah. Yeah, in mating season, it's worse,
Oh
they're
yeah,
they're
yeah.
not gonna slow down for anything.
They're not thinking about cars at that
No,
time.
no.
Yeah.
Alright, so we are running out of time. What would you like the citizens of Missouri to know?
Well, first of all, just in my area right here, I'm running for District 97, Missouri House of Representatives, and that is the northern part of Jefferson County, which is right up against St. Louis County. If you are interested in what I have to say, if you're anywhere in Missouri and you have interest in what I'm saying, and you'd like to see me get to the State House, well, check out my website at dan4mo.com. That's DAN, the number 4mo.com. There's a big fat donate button there if you feel that you want to donate. And but if you even if you just want to chat with me for a while, there's fill out the contact form, and we can chat about stuff. I have people approaching me. The most recent person approaching me was for ranked choice voting and how I stand on that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I get some great conversations online, and I really would like to hear from everybody all over the state, but particularly if you're in District 97.
Right. Right. And the primary is August 4th, you said?
Primary here in Missouri is August 4th. Yeah.
All right.
And I don't have any primary opponents. So I'm just watching it very carefully to see what my opponents are. Both their names are Dave, which makes it difficult for me to talk about them. But I want to see which one of them wins, if the incumbent wins or if his challenger wins. His challenger is very, very hungry, and he told me he's knocking on every single door in the district. I said, good luck with that, because there's like 13,000 doors in the district you got to
Yeah.
knock on. So, but he's doing it. Yeah, hats off to him. He's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that does it. I remember if anyone comes to my place, but I live in a town with only a couple thousand people. So
Yeah, it's really difficult. In this area here, we're semi-rural. It's more suburban / semi-rural. So, but even then, I mean, I've got an electric scooter that I go
Mhm.
around and go door to door that way. And I don't hit every single door either. I'm very selective in the doors that I hit. But in rural areas, that's really difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
some of these folks out there, I'm sure right outside your town, you got to, you have to go a mile to knock on
Yeah.
someone's door. That's
Yep.
really rough to do.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I used to drive that FedEx route actually, and
Oh,
I
really?
would have like everyone else would have like 100 and some stops or 200, a
Hmm.
little over 200 stops, and I'd have like 40 to 60
Oh,
because
yeah.
all
Yeah.
of the miles in between houses. So that
Yeah.
was, yep.
That's really rough. I don't know. I don't know how you guys do that. That's a lot. How do you do that? I mean, getting in and out of the van like that all the time. That's got to be,
Oh,
that's like a whole exercise routine right there.
yeah, it was rough on my knees going
Yeah.
from at that point from bartending to in and out. It's you use different muscles and it's like,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
man. So
Well, bartending's rough too, because you got to be on your feet all the time. That's
yeah. Yeah.
wow. Yeah. My
So
only experience with that, I used to work at Radio Shack many, many years ago,
I
and I'd be
remember
on my
Radio
feet
Shack.
all day long. And after a couple of weeks, I got used to it.
Yeah.
But boy, at the first few weeks here, man, I'd come home and I would just have to. And I was pretty young. I was like 19 at the time. I'd still hurt like crazy.
Yeah. Yep. Uh, all right. Well, I want to thank you for being here today, and I will make sure to put all the links in the show notes, and I will keep pushing out some clips. And yeah.
Okay. Well,
All
thank you,
right.
Sam. I appreciate you having me on board again. And
Yeah.
as always, give me a shout anytime. And, I'm willing to come on anytime.
Perfect. Sounds good. I can't wait to see how the campaign goes and how everything turns out. So,
Thank you.
all right. Thank you.